pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll ask that everybody remain standing for a moment of silence in recognition of Veterans Day tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Call to the community. This is the time for citizens who would like to address the Recreation and Public Grounds Commission on any non-agenda item. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to asking staff to review the matter, asking that the matter be put on a future agenda, or responding to criticism. There's nobody here from the community? No. Okay. Response to call to the community. There were no requests to speak during the October 13th, 2022 regular meeting. Business, approval of minutes. Presenter, Terry Roth, City Clerk.
I will be happy to fill in on behalf of the city clerk. And as you guys know, that the minutes of the October 13th meeting are in your packet. If you've had a chance to review them, I have nothing to add other than to offer them for approval.
I make a motion to approve the October minutes.
I will second that.
Are there any other questions about the October 13th agenda? The October 13th minutes, pardon me. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. RPG Duties Review. Presenter, Sonny Colbert, Community Liaison. Discussion regarding the purpose and duties of the Recreation Public Grounds RPG Commission. Information only.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have before you, I believe, a copy of the Section 273 of the City Code. And in that, it describes the purpose and the duties of each of the commissions. This one happens to be the RPG Commission. And, at one time, we had on here that we were to act as the tree board for Tree City USA and those kind of things. But then that's not a function any longer that requires RPG. I think that's done by Public Works. They fill out the application, and we have so many trees, and we plant new ones on the occasions that we can. That we end up getting that anyway, that designation anyway, so it really wasn't anything that this body would do. But if you look at them, and what I would ask Chairman Taddy is that after we read this, that we come back to me and go to the third item on the agenda, because we have someone on the commission that has brought forward to discuss and possibly take action to remove number 4 from our duties. And we'll wait though and let Andy describe that. But, one is things that this body can do is inventory the opportunities for improving the appearance of public grounds. 2 is provide recommendations for recreation programs, public art and public grounds, maintenance and improvements in the city. 3 is study the problems and determine the needs of the city in connection with street trees and park trees. And then recommend quarterly for formal recognition by the council those homeowners, who have maintained or enhanced their property by making significant landscape or architectural improvements. And then the last thing on the list is perform such other duties as the council from time to time shall request. An example was when we had the 100th anniversary of the city, this commission planned almost all of those events. And it was a 3-day celebration, and it went off really well. And this body was involved in planning each of those activities. So the one that has been brought forward to Chairman Taddy and asked to be on the agenda is the number 4, where we're doing yard of the quarter. And, you know, we've made some changes on how we do it. But the next item, Mr. Chairman, if we could do that, I would recommend we skip to that item and have Andy make her presentation. And we have that discussion before we come back to this.
Sounds good.
And now it's in your hands again.
So, information action item, amendment to Recreation Public Grounds duties. Presenter, Andy Phillips, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman Caddy. So I don't know if you all have had a chance to read the little document that was on the agenda, included in the agenda. I hate reading stuff when it's there, and I know we can all read, so I really don't want to do that. Briefly, like, I've been involved in this for a really, really long time, and I just think that broadly, in light of where we are in the world today, and the fact that I just don't feel we should be singling out houses based on our personal, non-professional judgments. And then the other fact is, we don't have access to all of the houses. And some of the houses that we should be including, because of their HOA requirements or how their lots are set up, they can't do anything in their front yard. So they put their time and their energy and their money in their backyards, and we can't even see those. So we're really not even accessing or having, you know, a fair pool because we can't see everything. And then there's other reasons in here too. But I just think in this world of inclusivity, not to sound cliche, that singling out a house because I think it's well done and somebody else doesn't, just isn't something that we should be doing. I think perhaps there is something else that we can come up with, and I don't even have any clue what that is at this moment, but my recommendation would be to remove that responsibility from this commission. So I'd love discussion or questions, please.
Go ahead, sir.
On the access, I think you're specifically referring to the greens, right? Or not just greens, but Sunset Terrace as well.
Mm-hmm.
And last time around, I thought that's what we were going, so I was going like, oh, we're going to get in. And as I understood it, we were going to give them a heads up, and they were just going to be like, hey, I'm here for this RPG thing I'm doing, and the gate people will be like, okay,
Yeah.
great, let's go do your thing. So I think that we can work around pretty easily. Anyway, in terms of access, so I don't necessarily, that one doesn't trouble me too far. I would agree that we're not professionals. None of us are like landscape architects or anything like that. I don't know, I always viewed the whole thing as, like, what's the intent behind it? It's to encourage, not necessarily to reward. I think that's probably, like, if you put that much effort into your yard, a sign's like a nice, it's a token of appreciation, and to encourage people to improve their yards. So I don't personally have a problem with it. I mean, I don't view it as problematic, I'll say it that way.
Anybody else?
I mean, I certainly feel weird about nominating houses. Like, when I go look around, a lot of them kind of look the same.
Well,
But yeah, I don't see, like a problem, like taking photos. If we're standing in the public right away, there's no, like, right to privacy that we're violating of them taking pictures. But I do agree that our efforts could probably be put somewhere
somewhere else.
that has a larger impact. The program is
Yeah.
surprised when they get nominated, and
Yeah, I mean, it's not a well-known program within our community. And once we had tried to get the public to bring the nominees to us, which kind of makes more sense, and we had one in like 2 or 3 years. One. I don't know.
Mr. Ames, can you comment on when you presented the last winner with, what was that experience like?
So Mrs. Gray was very thankful that she was nominated for the Yard of the Quarter. She did state that she's been waiting 11 years for this. That's what she told me. So she was very ecstatic. She was very appreciative. She was very excited that she got to place the new sign out in front of her house. But other than that, that's all she pretty much mentioned.
Was she waiting 11 years on her front patio for you, or just kidding?
Waving everybody by.
What other experiences have you had? I don't know.
The one previous before that, they were pretty ecstatic about it, but they did mention, we had no idea this was even going on, but they accepted it. They said, great, we'd love to put the sign out in front of our house. And that's the only ones I can recall. The one over on the Village, I forgot what street that was. He was very appreciative as well. He did question, hey, how long do I have to leave this sign out in front of my house? But I said, as long as you want, it's not a problem. Just give me a call and I'll come pick it up. I think he left it out there for about 2 weeks. Other than that, that's pretty much all I've got, all the feedback I've gotten from the residents.
Commissioner Colbert?
Sure. I think overall I agree with a lot of Andy's points. I do agree it's kind of awkward to take pictures in front of somebody's house, wondering if they're looking out the windows and what's that guy doing? Especially if there's 5 of us or 6 of us, throughout the month. Yeah, and I just agree that maybe there's some other efforts that we could pick up in place of this. So overall, I agree with most of Andy's points.
Commissioner Gertz, was that a hand up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we did take some steps to make it more, to make us look at different neighborhoods, right, when we segmented it.
Yeah, that helped.
We all have the habit of, we drive where we drive, we see what we
Yeah.
see, and maybe we didn't take that far enough even. Maybe we should have gone all right, we're gonna do the condos, right, give
How do you do the condos?
Well, there's differences, right? You'll have a lot that's nothing but dirt and weeds in the front, and you'll have people that put effort into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just relative, for sure. It's not the same as something on Bird Lane where they put, $250,000 into their front yard, but it doesn't have to be the same. It's recognizing the effort, and somebody sees that, and they go, oh, I'm appreciated, and the neighbor sees it.
I guess, everybody that I know that lives in the condos, whether it's the Sierra Hermosa ones or the ones by the lake, their backyards are where they put their effort, because the front yard that so what, are we gonna knock on their door and say, hey, can we see your backyard?
No.
I don't know, one of my main things is, it's so subjective. Brian and I could have polar opposites, likes and dislikes, and who am I to judge what you're putting in your yard to say that it's well-kept, color varietal, pays homage to the house or whatever. That's the part, I think, for me, that is the hardest, because, I love working in my yard, but I am by no means a professional in any aspect of that, and who am I to be judging somebody's yard? I think that's the part that bothers me the most. Because somebody might just like rocks, and should grass even be a thing anymore? Maybe that should be a no-no, and...
Upcoming water restrictions?
Yeah, I don't know. So anyhow, I'll be quiet.
I thought looking at in the HOAs, am I gonna be stepping on the HOA's toes? I don't know if this house just had, years of violation notices and just got cleaned up, or something's wrong with it the HOA doesn't like, and then we're gonna be recognizing them as they're potential. I don't know if that's happened, but I'd also suggest that if we are going to change this, we should probably come up with the replacement so that when it's presented to council and they have to change the ordinance, that they do it all at once.
Well, I think we can just remove this, and, I didn't even think of, coming up with another project to do, but maybe as the square comes alive, there could be something that we could do to do a program, or maybe we have an area in the square that something changes and we get the groups in there. You know, maybe there's something in the square that we don't even know right now that could be our project, so to speak, rather than yard of the quarter.
Then I would say there's probably gonna be a couple hundred things that we could get involved with in the square once that gets rolling, boy. So I would like to make this comment. I see the Christmas light competition get embraced by the community in a different way than Yard of the Quarter. And I'm wondering if there's something we could take from that to, because I see Commissioner Gertz's point that on some level, Yard of the Quarter is not just to celebrate somebody's house, but it's also to almost like be a motivation and inspiration to everybody to maybe make sure they're working, maybe not working in their, but like their yard isn't just, it's fun to have a great yard. It's fun to put some effort in. It's fun to, and on that same note, are there less neglected houses because of Yard of the Quarter? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know what kind of a answer we get from the community if we asked that question. But I see that the community embraces the Christmas light competition in a way different perspective than the Yard of the Quarter. And I'm wondering if something like if we could somehow work something like the Christmas light that would still accomplish the goal of making sure everybody has the same motivation, the same celebration of like, oh wow, that's a really neat yard. And maybe thoughts on that note.
I'm not sure if this is what you're suggesting, but perhaps if we just sort of deferred to the Christmas light contest for that Yard of the Quarter and said that's the Yard of the Quarter for that period, and that's a way of like getting, like that's a thing that we do, Yard of the Quarter. And by the way, it's the Christmas light one this time. So if one like get the attention, using that thing to drag focus onto something else. I don't know if that's where you're going with it, but.
That's an idea that I had for sure. Sir?
How is the Christmas competition done?
So exactly how? That's a really good question. I think I'm going to defer to somebody who would know a little bit better than I.
So I'll share that for the Christmas competition, we have 3 different categories. So it's not just one overall winner, it's a winner and a runner-up in each category. And we typically have Clark Griswold as a category, Norman Rockwell, which is more traditional and nostalgic decorations, and then we've been doing an inflatable fun category where you have to have at least 5 Christmas inflatables as part of your decorations. So we have 3 different groupings, and then we award cash prizes to each winner, which each category winner gets $100. And then the winner and the runner-up in each category get a lawn sign put on their yard for however long they want it in the season. The judging, we recruit volunteers to judge. We typically have about 5 judges that go out and judge based on the wow factor and category-specific things. So, I mean, it is a possibility. I wouldn't limit it to just one, and I wouldn't take this on and remove some of the other rewards and the extra people that are getting recognized during the holiday.
Yeah, I don't think we should.
I wouldn't recommend narrowing it down to just one home. That'd be really hard to do.
Plus, in one big difference is they actually have to nominate themselves, or at least say, we're willing to be in this competition.
Yeah.
Please-
Yes,
Please
that is
come
correct.
judge us.
Yeah.
We give them a time frame to nominate themselves, and then we notify them that on these particular, it's generally 2 days, a 2-day period that the judges go out and go through all the homes and do their judging. So we tell them, make sure that your lights are ready by typically the Sunday before the judging, and it's usually a Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday that the judges go out, and all of those homes know that their displays have to be in order, and that's how they're going to be judged.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So you guys use social media quite a bit in the process, right? Could you talk about that for?
So the social media is used to generate interest so that people will apply, and we use that to highlight the winning homes. We try and take pictures of the winning homes to put out there. And we also, as part of the contest, we also ask people, hey, if you don't want to be judged necessarily, but you want people to know about your home, we add them to just a general list. That's our list of home tour. We call it the Holiday Home Tour, so that as people want to go on the website or our social media pages, they can see a whole list of addresses that these homes are decorated, and they'd love for you to drive by, walk by, however you want to go take a look at them and enjoy them. So, I mean, it is a possibility to incorporate that somehow, even in just Yard of the Quarter, if you chose to keep that. We could certainly use social media to say, hey, this quarter, people in this zone, be ready because we're coming to look for your homes, so you can maybe get the community more involved from the get-go that way. That's one way that may help.
Right. Who
Sure.
are the judges, and how do you recruit them?
It's different each year. We usually approach residents and staff that are interested in doing it. And you guys know last meeting I asked if any of you are interested, because I do think RPG commissioners would be great people to work on this.
We've got so much experience judging.
That's true.
When I was doing it, I went out of my way to try to get people that didn't live in Litchfield Park that wouldn't know that that's Andy's house.
Council's house.
Right.
And I made sure that I had no part in judging, because somebody complained, I'd say, you know what? I did not judge, no one in Litchfield Park judged. It was strictly anonymous as far as no one knew who lived in what house. And they just go, oh, well, thought mine looked better than theirs.
She waited for 11 years on her patio.
So you would run into that with Yard of the Quarter anyway, though, because all of our commissioners are residents.
Yeah, no, you would for Yard of the Quarter.
Yeah.
You could possibly know who lives in a certain house and vote for and judge that one. But
So if we picked out 2 or 3 themes from everything that we just heard, big social media pitch, a theme that goes along with it, and social media that not only has a pre and a post, right? So here's the homes that we judged, here's the winning home, people that said, yeah, come judge my home. So like, just to throw out there, if we did like a seasonal Halloween, there were some Halloween decorations. Did you see some of the ones? There was one on Bird where they have that, you know what I'm talking about?
Skeleton one?
Yeah, there was the skeleton sitting around the fireplace. I mean, at first I thought it was a Grateful Dead thing. And then I kind of looked closer and I was like, no, this is like a really cool way to celebrate Halloween. I remember as a kid, some of the most fun homes were the ones you were kind of scared to walk up to. And some people accomplished that. So perhaps those are the lines that we're thinking about, like a seasonal theme.
But then what do you do in February and August and?
Good question.
Do Yard of the Quarter, Yard of the Half, landscaping maybe.
Springtime, new love, birds and the bees. I'm spitballing, but
I had a different word in mind.
Also 2 words.
it's interesting though, I mean, in all seriousness, it's interesting how the community seems to get into judging the Christmas lights. And I think at the end of the day, the community involvement is what we're after, I think. I don't mean to put, thoughts or words in anybody's mouth. So that might be the next question. What would those themes be in, because you would need spring and summer, right? If you had Halloween, Thanksgiving-ish as one, and the winter holidays as the other, the Christmas lights.
But I honestly don't think we should step into the Christmas lights. That's all part of.
I'm not saying change it. I'm saying.
No, but I don't think we should be involved in that at all, in the Christmas lights. I think that should be left as is. That's my personal opinion. Like, that was never our job, and I don't think we should take that on because we need a theme for winter, because that's part of Christmas in the park and all of that.
I'm not saying change it. I'm not saying change anything about how the Christmas light competition is. What I'm suggesting is if we put Yard of the Quarter to the side, could we have something spring, summer, or maybe fall, spring that that takes the success of the Winter Lights competition and applies it in those seasons in a similar style event? Commissioner Gertz.
I was thinking, if the whole intent of what council's tasked us to do is to encourage the beautification of the city, then perhaps, as Commissioner Fate said, we would come back with something like your idea. Instead of just saying, let's not do this anymore, let's come back with, hey, I think this is what you guys want us to do. You want us to encourage people to invest in their houses, improve their properties, make it a fun place to be around, a beautiful place to be around, and we think we can do it better by doing this. Instead of, and that would be in hand with saying, and we don't think we should do this anymore. But I think it'd be better to come that way and say, we think we can solve this a better way, instead of, we don't think we're adding value here. Because I wouldn't say we're not adding value, there's a little awkwardness, I'll agree, but I like that approach, come with something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we have to table and come back with some ideas to.
And
Of course.
I understand what you're saying, and I do understand what you're saying, and I think this would require us to table this, give it a lot more thought. And the reason the Christmas light thing is successful is they nominate themselves because they know I'm going to put a lot of work in this, and so please come judge me. They nominate themselves. They know they're being judged. And then maybe as you think of what you could do, maybe there are different things like use of desert landscape. It could be a certain type thing that a home like to look at. But also let them nominate themselves maybe and give more than one yard of the quarter. Maybe it's in each of the, we divided the city up into different sections. Maybe there's more to give out. I realize that takes a lot of time out looking at houses and judging houses. But I do think the way it's done now, it's kind of futile to say, I'm going to go out and pick out one house out of all these houses in Nashville Park. And in my opinion, that's the best one. I would find that hard to do. Because again, someone has taken a lot of time to do desert landscaping because they know the water restrictions and, they want to do that. They could have a very beautiful yard with pavers and cactus and different things that could be very appreciated. And then you've got people that have these beautiful green with lots of flowers and everything. That's pretty too. I mean,
very hard to.
How do you say?
Thus the decimal points that some of us were using. Not saying I used them. I'm just saying some people were using decimal points.
It seems to me like it needs
fraction.
more thought. If you want to keep it, I think it needs more thought because the way it was being done just doesn't seem.
Needs to be revamped.
Well, people don't know about it.
Yeah.
They really don't.
And we want to suck the community into this, right?
Needs to be a campaign that people know.
We want more community involvement. We want people to recognize that hey, this is, you know, a cool thing.
I mean, if we could do it where houses were nominated and we put it out to the public to go vote, I would be all in favor of that one. You know, if we got the public to go out there and drive by, and they wouldn't even have to do our intricate little box thing.
Just pick.
They would just pick 1 out of 4. I want this one.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, would be a lot more representative and inclusive than what we're doing. Way more.
Plant variety. Sure.
I was thinking something perhaps to include people that don't do, you know, Christmas lights or holiday decorations, like, trying to think of what that is, perhaps like flowers, like people in the springtime, there's probably a lot of people that plant flowers,
Right on.
or desert landscaping, something like that, to include them as well, because they're probably not necessarily the same people that do the holiday lights. And maybe that way we're not steering
Backyard.
everything towards, you know, plastic decorations and lights, and towards, you know, lasting plants as well.
Right on. And even on that note too, you know, backyard sitting area, backyard July 4th barbecue. I mean, you could see where a backyard could be a big point of pride too. And maybe somebody would be inclined to say, you know, I want somebody to nominate my backyard.
So I'd say people would have to invite you.
Yeah,
to come.
Yeah, well, yeah, they would say, hey, I want somebody to judge my backyard, similar to the, I mean, I've been in some backyards where I'm like, holy cow, what am I doing wrong?
You don't have
No.
$1 million.
Well, I work in education, you know what I mean? That could be part of it. But no, in all seriousness, you could see where that could lend to some creativity, and perhaps we have the pathway already in front of us with the success of the Christmas lights.
People will be a lot more willing to nominate their backyards. And I'm sure there are insane backyards that we've not seen in the city that could be, you know, good advertisement for the city as well on the website.
So I think that what we're saying is we agree that Yard of the Quarter as it stands now is probably ready for a vote, because this is an action item.
We don't have to, when you say
don't
ready
have
for
to.
a vote.
We don't have to now? You want to table it?
No, what I'm
Thinking?
saying is, it could be different things that could be acted on.
Mhm.
It's not like we're doing away with it or we're keeping it necessarily. It could be, as Christoph suggested, that we defer this for more discussion and try to come up with a better way of doing it.
So a motion is what we're thinking. We would have a motion that would imply that. Go ahead, Commissioner Gertz.
Well, I was saying, that's a lot of good things, and I think it's gonna take us some time to really like smash those together into something coherent for us to send to council, and I think we need to just mull on that maybe a little bit.
Yeah, and just table it.
Yeah, so if everyone's okay, I'd like to make a motion to table this until our next meeting, and encourage everyone to come with ideas on like how we could improve this, or how we could accomplish the end goal of beautification, put it that way.
I'd also encourage us to seek the staff input, because it seems like that the Christmas light is sort of their thing. We're not stepping on toes and kind of running with their success.
Oh, for sure.
My opinion is, this is a whole separate thing from Christmas in the park and the decorating. That should just be kept aside. Shouldn't be that we try to duplicate that on every quarter for some other reason. I think we should find a good way to encourage people to be proud of what they've done and to want it on display, and maybe that would encourage other people to say, you know, I take care of my yard, but I can do a little bit more maybe if I want that sign, you know, and there's people that probably would want that sign.
Yeah.
'Cause there's people that enter the decorating contest every year, you know, and,
So, do you want a shorter version of that motion? Would that be
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
let's, I think where you were headed is.
Do we need
keep
a
that
motion though
simple.
to table it?
We don't need a motion
We
to
need
table.
something to move on to the next agenda item,
It's an
I
action
think.
item, so that could be the action.
The action can be tabling it.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
I think we still have to go through. I make a motion to table this until next month, and then we.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
I don't know.
I would second it if that is the case.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or thoughts before we vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. So now we're gonna circle back to RPG duties review. Presenter, Sunny Colbreth, Community Liaison.
Right, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this is, number one, if we had, if RPG had decided to do away with Yard of the Quarter, then the obvious thing the city council might ask is, well, what other things are you going to do? And we really don't need to look much farther than the list that's before us as part of our duties. You know, just take number one. What I want to do is read each thing and say, what could you see we could do in this category? And even get some input from Kyle. I know when you guys painted the orange trees, that was a tremendous help to Kyle, and it got the community involved, and that's very visible all over town, and when it was being done and after it's being done. And to me, that could be an annual thing if Kyle thought that was necessary. But I just say, let's look at each one of these and not spend all night doing it, but throw out what are some things that could be done or you could be done, and ask Pat and Tricia and Kyle to even pitch in on some of the ideas. But start with the first one, inventory, the opportunities for improving the appearance of public grounds. How do we do that? How could we do that? If that's one of our duties, is to inventory how to improve the appearance of public grounds. How do we start as a RPG member? How would you think, what would be a beginning?
Park tour. We did that once,
Yeah, a long time
a
ago.
long time ago, yeah.
It'd be good to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, on that one, we could even pick like a certain park leading up to, that would be an agenda item for the next meeting, you know, say we're gonna do Staggs Park, and each of us we could do it together, or we could do it separately, where we go and kind of, you can take pictures or do different things, you know, if you see there's a bench that is rusty, you know, whatever it might be, you know, I think we could kind of inventory things for one park at a time is one example of a way to kind of get an inventory. And I guess question for staff, what the point of getting an inventory, is that to give Public Works and staff ideas for ways to improve the park?
Kyle, how do you see this?
Yeah, no, absolutely, that would tremendously help, obviously with staff out there, they're in the groove, they move, they're doing certain things through the day. They miss those small things every once in a while, and obviously if the commission can be out there and taking a look at this stuff and potentially pointing out stuff, hey, maybe this can use a little bit of improvement, or hey, maybe this could, you know, be touched up, or we try to do it the best we can, obviously, but more eyes the better, obviously. It would be a tremendous help.
Yeah, I think it's, the city of Goodyear has a program where you essentially, like, I'm here, I'm gonna take a picture of this thing, this needs some attention.
Upload it to like a link.
Yeah.
Map, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Like report shopping
I don't know,
carts or
like,
different
maybe
things.
that's prohibitively expensive for us, I don't know, but if you want, like, to crowdsource, hey, here's an issue, and, like, I see it, and maybe I don't know who to talk to about it, and I call Sunny, Sunny, you know, Sunny, I don't know who to talk to, but that might be an idea.
Sure.
Beyond just us, but I think where you're getting at is, we ought to know all the parks and all the stuff and all the spaces that need improvement, and I could think of a couple little areas where like, man, so maybe something could be put there. Do I know which of those are maybe HOA ground versus our ground? Maybe not entirely, but, you know, that would be a good thing for us to build an inventory of essentially, and then maybe we can rank order that, and you guys could provide feedback on whether that's like capital improvement budget sort of impact of these sorts of things and what's actually feasible.
And in some areas, it would be helpful to Kyle at budget time if he were able to go and say, well, this one item I have here is highly recommended by RPG that we take a look at, you know, adding to this or changing this, or, you know, like, all of our playgrounds eventually are gonna be wearing out, and you've done a great job replacing some, but there's those that need it, and they're expensive. But But you're on the right track there, I think. That's what I was hoping to do tonight, is just get you thinking and take this list and kind of keep it with you. And if you think something should be on an agenda, bring it forward. Like one year, I remember we did an inventory of the parks,
Mhm.
and it had park furniture, and you would write down if, hey, there's two benches that the backs of them are wobbly or whatever, or there's skateboarders have just killed this one bench, they need to be replaced, or the slide has a worn place, or there's a step. And like Kyle said, our public works guys are out there every day, but they're not like inspecting everything. They're trying to get it cleaned up and move on. One of my pet peeves is the restrooms right now. I mean, they just need a lot of work. And if you go and look at them, but that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking. That's that one. Do you want to go on, or you got more on
I
that?
have a question. Is there any sort of inventory list that exists?
Of capital equipment that we have out in the parks?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We have, past replacements for the playground equipment, when they were replaced. I'm not necessarily sure about the upgrades, if we've upgraded, some of the, playground, restrooms, but we do have some kind of an inventory, for capital equipment that we have out in the parks.
There's also a listing, of what's in each of the parks. That's there. That could be reviewed and see if it needs to be added to, or something taken out that's no longer there. We actually have that, that can be provided to RPG. It tells each of our parks and what amenities are in them.
I think that would be helpful to have, I mean, even if it's not in perfect form, just so we're not, reinventing the wheel.
Mhm.
Maybe help with it and not throw more work at you,
I think, RPG and the city and staff have done a great job replacing a lot of the older playground equipment. I think most of it's pretty up to date. There's a select few pieces of equipment that potentially could be replaced, but for the most part, I think we do a pretty good job of replacing what needs to be replaced.
Want to move on? Provide recommendations for recreation programs, public art and public grounds, maintenance and improvements in the city. I know we hit the public art thing once, but maybe there's some other public art that could be done. To my knowledge, the only public art left in Litchfield Park is actually at the rec center.
The mural?
Mhm. The balls.
There's the inside, the murals around the, and then outside even, there's a mural at the basketball court that was painted. And then there's a little hand thing done right outside the, preschool that was done a long time ago by kids.
Well, and the balls are art.
An artist, yeah,
Mhm.
but you don't see things all over
Yeah.
the rest of the town or the city. And when it gets to the, square down there, that we should be bringing forth, RPG should be bringing forth ideas to Woody about what should go in there, like, if you've been out to is it the town, I don't know what it is, it's not really, they call it a park, but that new.
Oh, in Goodyear?
Goodyear's,
Mhm.
you know, they've got concrete ping pong tables.
In Cornhole?
They've got cornhole, concrete, they've got that in the park that I go to in the summer in Oak Island. They have those are things you can go online and order them, and they're there. And people have to bring their own stuff, tables with checkerboards on them. They bring their own checkers and put them out, and the board's already there, and people can enjoy it. But there's a lot of things I think we could recommend to Woody that he could at least have on a list.
Yeah. One of the ways that Goodyear's forced that, if I remember correctly, they have in there, when they do capital improvement projects and they build, there's a requirement to spend X amount on art as part of what they do.
Yes.
So it's never a like, oh, hey, you should put that in there. It's more of a question of, if we're building something, what should we put here?
And
Which is a
their
different-
builders and
Yeah.
buyers also have to contribute a set amount to that fund.
Yeah, we actually reviewed that
Yep.
probably a long time ago, we reviewed that idea. And for some reason, it was like, well, we can't make them do that. Well, we really could.
Yeah.
Just like if a developer wants to come and we have the land and they want to build 300 houses on it, then we say, well, then you've got to include a park and a place for a school. You know, those are things that cities do.
Yeah, most cities have that you have to contribute to the Arts Commission, and it's like, it's not a lot. It's 1 or 2% or something, but most cities have that.
Yeah, and in this case, it's actually that the facility, if it's a public facility, has to have art incorporated into it as well, which I think,
Yeah.
if you've been to the waste management plant, it's got art incorporated in like
Yeah.
the facade.
Well, you know, those are ideas then, at some point, an agenda item where we look into what are other cities doing to encourage art in the community.
That might be a future motion.
Bring it.
We're ready for that, to recommend to council that we,
No, it would be like, spend some time on it and put
Yeah.
it together and say, hey, city council, would you?
And we had a list for Center Park, right? We had a list that was started at like 15 and then came down to 10, I think. Where, I mean, it was things
Yeah,
exactly.
things that we wanted in there.
We did Scout Park like that, did we do?
Yeah,
the
we
other
did
park
one for
too?
the square early on.
Yeah.
Might need
Like
to
David was
revise
still here.
Yeah, it was kind of like a dream list, wish,
Yeah.
or wish list.
We can always pull that back up, though, for sure. And things like the Memorial Park bench. Like I know that got kind of tabled for a couple of reasons, cost, I think, being one of them, and how long it would be guaranteed. But certainly as the park comes to fruition, we could start revisiting that again.
And I
I'll
don't know.
tell you too,
Go ahead.
so we do have a budget for that started this year, and Public Works and, Community Services have, kind of toyed around a little bit and started the process, but we would certainly be happy to have RPG work with us to really develop that Memorial Bench program. So that's a great opportunity for you guys to help us with revitalization and beautification, and that's something I know the city and the council want to happen.
And what a great draw to the community, right? Like, think about how many people are interested in that.
Yeah.
And then as far as recommendations for recreation programs, we're kind of limited budget-wise on what we can offer and can't offer, but maybe there's things, it's putting more work on staff, though, when you do that, but like pickleball seems to be
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Where's Susan when you need her?
But what about for kids, you know? Why can't they learn that? Introduce them to that. We have the courts, and we even have a net that we can add a third court on our basketball court. But anyway, those are kind of, you'd have to think about things and talk to Pat and to Tricia, what can they bear in their budget? We can't ask them to start a volleyball, league or something that's gonna add more staff and more. How do we get volunteers to do some of those things? I don't know. But again, these are all kind of ideas. If you really look at it, you can challenge yourselves to come up with, hey, let's be self-starters here. One of our duties is to do this. How do we accomplish that? So I'll move on. Study the problems and determine the needs of the city in connection with street trees and park trees. I think only there is if you see trees, when you're out doing other things, you see trees that you think might be dying or whatever, is just to bring it to their attention.
Right.
'Cause
yeah.
I can remember when Brian was here, they were really into figuring out what's killing all these trees
And we
around.
still are today.
Yeah.
That might be that same app sort of approach where like more eyes on that sort of stuff, catch things early.
Yeah. So the last thing, of course, is do whatever the city council wants. I don't think we need to talk about that one. But I wanted to just do this to kind of get your thought process going again and kind of keep that in front of you, and if you have a thought, to bring it forward. Is this something we can talk about doing? And maybe we could get the community involved in some of those things. We had the Scouts did a project where they went around and looked at the benches, is that correct?
Yep.
What did they do exactly?
Logan, I think it was his name, Logan from Boy Scouts, Eagle Scout 90.
Right, but what did they do?
He went around with a group of volunteers as well as Eagle Scouts. They GPSed everything, logged everything in Excel with pictures, conditions, fair, poor, good, whatever it was placed as. And then, they presented it. He actually did a very good job at it. It was very well, organized. So it's a good foundation there. There's a foundation there that we can go off of what he started. I just think it needs to be tweaked a little bit. And,
That's
decisions.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job. We were really impressed with it.
I think it's ready for adult contributions now, which would be great from the RPG.
I think we need to pick a couple things, come back with many ideas, but pick a couple things to do well, like at a time, and not, go too broad and very shallow.
When would be a time that the trees might be needed painted again?
Springtime.
Yeah, I think it was a great activity.
So that could be on the radar, and even at your next meeting, you could pick a date and start getting the word out, and you might have 200 volunteers this time.
We had a small army.
I mean, we could even do, a group planting day,
What?
A group planting day.
Planting.
Yeah, so we, as a group, as commissions, volunteers, we go out and plant trees where they need to be replaced, things that have been removed. I mean, there's endless possibilities there.
So the Rotary Club did that, right? A couple of years back?
The Rotary Club the Rotary Club and the Women's Golf Association planted the new trees all around Scout Park.
Yeah.
Never know, we could have ideas, and there might be somebody saying, hey, I've been looking for something our organization could do. And every now and then, we get somebody, more often than you think, get somebody calling up and saying, we have someone that needs an Eagle Scout project. So we could have our list and not know, like you said, you'd say, hey, get it to Kyle, because they usually call us, or Kyle, or Tricia, and say, do you have an Eagle Scout project? I mean, Brian, if I'm remembering, you painted the wall at Turtle Park?
Yep.
Yeah, and Matt painted the rec center, the outside of it. So a lot of those things have been done. What did you do?
Landscaped out front of the rec center.
Okay.
There you go.
Rec center.
Yeah.
And Pat, while you were gone, we said, as far as giving new sports programs ideas, we can't come up with something that's outside your budget and all that stuff. What? Yeah, we can.
We can recommend.
Our recommendation is give Pat lots more money.
But if you could think of things that, you have this list as well, right, since you have the agenda. If there's things you ever want to bring to commission, say, hey, I need some help with this, whether it be, I don't know, getting the word out to the organizations that could provide one day of help, whatever it might be. And that's how we used to keep the rec center looking decent, is we would have, like, once a year, we'd have like a work day over there, and people would bring rakes and shovels and just clean up everything.
They do it at the school too.
Yeah.
That's how they keep the school garden going, and a lot of the grounds on the school, they just invite everybody out to volunteer for a day. And they'll incorporate, if you're working in the garden here at LES, they'll even go to the different organizations at Western Sky. And they'll say, who wants to volunteer for this?
Okay, so this was only here for information, so I don't know if you have any comments or anything for Anthony to take forward. It's up to you guys.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, that was good information.
Good reminder.
Yep.
Staff reports. Public Works Monthly Report. Mr. Ames will provide this report, which may include the following items: maintenance, currently in progress and/or complete projects. The word projects was left off of the,
Didn't make the cut.
no, it didn't make the cut.
No, it's projects
Outside of the margin.
ongoing or complete. And did it say projects?
Are we looking at the same?
Well, anyway.
I think we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
Take it away, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson Taddy, members of the commission. In your packet, currently in progress or complete, Public Works with the assistance of West Coast Arbors have placed the welcome NASCAR fans, banners throughout the city entrances. They were just removed recently yesterday, so they are down. Overseeing is complete. Keep in mind, Stag, Scout, and Jackie Robinson Ball Field will be closed until November 21st for germination for the turf. Christmas Decorating Company have begun wrapping the palm trees and orange trees in the center of town. The company will be back December 1st to finish up the rest of the decorations. And Public Works staff are working on a replacement quotes for the damaged or missing piece of playground equipment at Scout Park. We did have a damaged piece of claimer that went to the top of the slide. I did report it. I had the reps come out to take a look at it, and when they showed up, it was completely gone.
I thought you guys picked it up.
No.
I knew.
So somebody else picked that up.
That's what I think a lot of people might have thought if they saw it being done. They thought, oh,
It was just somebody that works for the city picking it up.
because he said it was in concrete.
Yeah,
They
it had a
had to
footer.
work to
They
get
probably
out.
tried once and came back to finish the job.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Or the resident that reported it didn't want it to sit there over the weekend until the construction company could show up on Monday to make the repair. And we came in Monday and it was completely gone.
Wow.
So get
What is
Chuck
it?
Emmert to fly his drone over the backyards and find it.
We did, and that's what I was saying, is I thought maybe somebody removed it, a parent, a resident, concerned and removed it, but I don't think that's the case.
Nobody spoke up and said,
When we do backyard of the quarter, we'll find it.
there you go. Somebody will be like, hey, judge my,
What is it? that's-
right.
It's called the tree climber that goes to the top of the slide.
Yeah.
And, it was just concreted in with a concreted footer. And it was leaning, and I think what happened was when we had the 4 posts replaced from the storm that we had 2 years ago or a year ago now, when they replaced those, I think the foundation kind of sank a little bit, so it started to lean, and it was kind of wobbly. But it took some time, whoever removed that, it took some time to take that out.
Okay, all right.
And I'm shocked as you guys, I don't know how nobody didn't notice somebody taking that out.
Yeah.
And it happened over the weekend, so,
Hmm.
that is,
There's so many more people there on the weekends too that,
Yeah. Official looking.
but it is being replaced, I did place an order for a new one today.
thank you for that.
You're welcome, sir.
Are there any questions? Community and Recreation Services Monthly Report. Ms. Kramer will provide this report, which may include the following items: recreation center facility, preschool, sports, aquatics, community services, and special events.
Thank you, Chairman Patty, members of the commission. My monthly report is in your packet. I'll just touch on a couple of things. In terms of the facility, we did have our every 5-year inspection of our heater for the main pool, and that went well. So we should be good to go for another few years. Happy to report that. Aquatics at this point is, the pool is closed. Odyssey swim team had been practicing there in the off season, and they finished up last week. We had our flag raising ceremony this morning to honor the Marines and our veterans, and that was very nice. It was nice to have a few of our resident veterans out there and excited to be celebrated and honored. Preschool is going well. This is the season where they're learning about seasons, and also November is the month where they learn about, sharing is caring. And, it's not in my report, but they just started a, food collection for Agua Fria Food and Clothing Bank. So if you have any canned items or boxed, food items to donate, feel free to stop by the rec center. We've got a box in the lobby, and preschool is, families are also donating to that, and that'll be going on till just before Thanksgiving. Sports is going well. I'll let Pat share a little bit about what he's got going on in the works.
Thank you, Tricia. So fall sports ends this Saturday. We had a pretty good season, a lot of good feedback, so everyone seemed to enjoy themselves, especially being one of our biggest fall sports in a few years. Winter basketball registration ends on Monday, and the numbers are looking pretty good. We're expecting to get some more intake in that once the season, obviously with the season ending, and then we're already almost full in 2 days already beforehand. So, and then next weekend is our adult cornhole tournament. We have 23 teams right now, which is the most we've had in the last week. Ever. So, we're excited for that, and we have one spot open, and then we're wait list if any additional teams, so that the brackets kind of align for that. We're excited for that, so spread the word. And other than that, I think that's about all for sports.
Pat, did you figure out how many soccer balls were donated to you from the Wigwam?
Oh, yeah, we haven't counted those yet, but I think you said there's like 50 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The Wigwam donated almost brand-new soccer balls to the rec center. They used to have a program called foot golf,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and they decided they no longer want to keep doing that, so they had all these soccer balls that they had somehow gotten, and they asked me, did I know anybody that could use some soccer balls? So I got in touch with Pat, and he goes, yeah, we can use them. So we picked them up.
It's our stock backup, so I'm sure all the coaches, they would love to get all that equipment again. So.
That's right.
Are they too big though? Aren't they adult size versus the youth size, Paul?
I don't remember what size they were.
Some of them were smaller.
If they were smaller,
Okay.
if they were size 4, that's what our older age groups use.
4s and 5s, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Practice time, you can use the 5s anyway.
Yeah, the games have 4s. There's not a big difference between 4 and 5. It's just a bigger ball. The practices, like, be good for practice equipment if they're bigger.
Nice.
It's around still.
Thanks, Pat. Just kudos to Pat and his team, Pat and Jack, and the site supervisors. They're doing a fantastic job, and our volunteer coaches. And I think that's evident in the fact that our sports programs have so many more participants in fall and now winter. And so, I think they're doing a fantastic job, and parents and kids are feeling good about being in our program. So, kudos to you. I wanted to share that. In terms of special events, we had our Fall Festival of the Arts this past weekend. Thank you to those that came out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was nice seeing some of your faces out there. This weekend, Millennium has their homecoming parade on Saturday morning. They'll be out there. Public Works will be assisting them closing the roads temporarily during that time. And it should be a brief but fun little parade that the high schoolers do. They're usually grouped by club or sport and come down the road tossing their candy. It's fun for them, and we enjoy having them out. That afternoon, also, the library is putting on a teen event, so it'll be an active Saturday in the community on the library lawn. I believe it's a Harry Potter themed event for teens. From 2 to 6 p.m. They'll be out just on the library lawn. On Sunday, we will have our first Arts in the Park concert at the Wigwam. Cold Shot and the Hurricane Horns are performing from 3 to 5. It's a free concert, so please feel free to come. Spread the word to your neighbors, friends, family. We'd love to have a good crowd out there. They're a fantastic band. So we're looking forward to having them kick off the concert season for us. And I think I'll just leave it at that. That's plenty of focus for November.
19th. That's Touch-a-Truck.
Yes, Touch-a-Truck, yes, we'll mention Touch-a-Truck event again. Same day and time essentially as Cornhole. So on the library lawn, Pat will be running his Cornhole tournament. And, on the south lot of Litchfield Elementary School, we'll be having our Touch-a-Truck event where, community organizations and safety partners, Avondale PD, Goodyear Fire, Public Works Department, Waste Management, APS, Phoenix Raceway will all have different variations of vehicles that are unique to them out
Aiken
there.
Gardner bringing something?
Aiken Gardner, also, the construction company that's assisting with a lot of our projects, but especially the Litchfield Square projects will be out with a couple of their vehicles as well. So it should be a nice selection for kids and families to come out for free and be able to look and experience and learn from those who are out there, what they use the vehicles for and how they provide safety or provide construction opportunities for our community. So it should be fun. We're looking forward to that as well. So a couple of busy weekends in November in the community, so.
Any questions? Thank you for that. Commissioner report on current events. Commissioner Fee.
I have nothing to report, but thank you.
You're welcome. Vice Chair Phillips.
Just glad to see that all of the parks are open and the grass is coming up and now green again in the parks. Looks nice.
Commissioner Gertz.
Yeah, I'll second nice to see the dark green coming in around and the lights going up. Yeah, feels like it's approaching Christmas time here now. It looks good.
Commissioner Colbert.
I enjoyed the, Arts Festival of the weekend, so good job to Tricia and staff on that. It was successful, and actually, talking to someone in the beer garden, and they lived in Scottsdale. They had a house in Scottsdale and a house in Washington, the kind of snowbirds, I think, and said that he goes to all the different events around town and festivals and different things in different parts, and he said that the Litchfield one was he said it's the best out of all the ones around, so I thought I'd share that feedback, yes.
Compliment.
And one thing I want to bring up, I don't know who on staff's responsible for the social media, but I think that's been really great lately. There's a lot of drone pictures I've seen on Instagram and videos and things, and so I think that's a lot of, pictures of sunsets, and I think that they're doing a real good job with the social media posts.
We have a social media person, right?
So, City Hall has a social media person or IT person, but they've recently contracted with, one of our residents, Chuck Emmerich. And he's fantastic at it. Obviously, you guys are seeing the difference already.
He was the fellow at the run.
Okay.
Was he the fellow at the run?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, he's just started working on, the city pages, and, he does some of that, I believe, the Instagram stuff for City of Phoenix as well.
Right.
He's got a lot of experience, and, it's really, I think, helped generate interest in what we've got going on here at the city. And then, of course, staff also works on, our social media as well. But I think part of what he's doing is trying to generate interest in the beauty of the city and the history of the city, primarily. Great to see.
Good.
We'll pass it along to him.
Will he be able to, maybe get a real good bird's eye view of our Christmas in the Park parade and activities?
I can ask. I don't know what all exactly is part of his contract.
Right.
So I'll certainly ask. I know he did come out to the festival and capture a little bit, so maybe with advance notice, he'd be willing to do that. It'd be fun.
Will you send them to the parking lot at 7:30 for the Girl Scout chaos? Just kidding.
The behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I will, reiterate a couple of things that other commissioners said. Just absolutely beautiful right now. Driving down towards this meeting, just seeing the lights up, it kind of reminds you, wow, this is Litchfield Park. And, what a great job you guys are doing.
Thank you.
The event Saturday was wonderful. It was so good, my ninth grade daughter decided that she would not answer her phone for like 2 hours. She was having such a good time there, which was didn't make me happy with that. But we had a very good time. So, that said, looking very forward to, the next couple of months of seeing everybody get the Christmas lights up and just the transformation in the city and, of course, the weather and just how beautiful everything is taking shape. So, we do not have any topics for city referral, do we? City council referral? So that leaves only one thing, adjournment. Looking for a motion.
I sort of have a question. Are we having a meeting in December?
So that would depend on, and Sunny, correct me if I'm wrong, that would depend on whether or not we have items to discuss.
Okay.
I know there have been times where we've skipped a December meeting based on the holidays.
What date would it fall?
Still be the second Thursday.
Okay.
We are gonna look at our phones at the same time and get you a quick answer.
We can get to it Friday.
5 different people, it's a race.
Eight, okay.
The eighth?
So somewhat early in the month.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Wait and see what happens. Okay, thank you.
yeah. And thank everybody here too. It's good to have everybody in person again. I think we took for granted not being able to be together, but certainly brings out a great meeting when we're all here.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking for that last motion.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned.
Full time, I think it is not 12:44 a.m., October 1st, 1970. That's not correct.
1970.
But it is a Thursday.